Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I got a really exciting video. This is 33. I'm sure you guys all know who he is, the TI winner, offlaner for Tundra, and he's got a really new, crazy Razor build. So you'll see his end items look insane, but the build up to these items is even more weird. So you can see it's like a magical damage build. Why in the world would you go a magic damage tank-based build on a hero like Razor that steals damage and reduces armor? Why would you do that? The main reason why you would do that is actually your shard. So we're going to talk about his shard, why Bloodstone's good on this hero, the mana boots into Vanguard, which is his item build, mana boots into Vanguard on a ranged hero, which is insane, into Bloodstone, then into Pipe, bots, Shivas, Heart, Kaiasange. It's a wild build. And really, his Ursa went 16-1, and he did more damage than the Ursa. He did more damage than a 16-1 Ursa when he was 6-6. And by the way, he was 0-3 at the beginning of the game. And so yeah, we're going to watch a pretty incredible performance from 33 here on his Razor, and let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the Game Leap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the Game Leap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. So as I said, the lane's pretty bad. Terrorblade is honestly one of the worst Razor matchups in the game, and Treants isn't great either because he really punishes your bad movement speed and pretty bad armor as well. So I'm not even going to go through the early levels. Basically, the main goal in the early levels for 33 is to just get off Link. He seems to spam it as much as he can. I will say, I think the Link was probably bad all in all. The reason why is Bounty Hunter can't secure the range creep. His support can't secure the range creep. So I think honestly his best bet, and I have a feeling he would agree with this, his best bet would have been to take the Q and just avoid the enemy altogether, at least to the best of his ability, right? By pulling creep aggro and then nuking the range creep, right? That would have been his best bet. Unfortunately, he was unable to do that, so he's going to end up going down a couple times. He died first blood. He just died second blood as well, I think. And then he's going to die again in a moment, a couple minutes down the line to the Terrorblade. So his lane's horrible, and I just want to show this to you guys, because you might be like, oh, this build is so cheesy. It's so cheesy that you've definitely picked some niche game. He's won 4 of his last 5 Razor games, all going this build. So if you think it's cheesy, I don't know what to tell you. It works, as he dies again. Now, in terms of the later levels, at level 3, you're typically, unless the lane is really easy, typically going to take 2 points in your plasma field. If, as I said, the lane is particularly easy, you can take 2 points in the static link and essentially play to deny a lot of creeps. That's totally fine. You're going to see he picks up mana boots. You're going to see he picks up boots, a wraith band, and then 3 mangoes. I think the mangoes are really important on Razor because they give you pretty consistent HP regen. Keep in mind, mangoes actually give more HP regen per gold than Ring of Health, the item that he's actually has queued up. So if you're trying to stay alive in the lane early on, you should have mangoes. It's that straightforward. They're not even a mana item. Like, they give you mana when you eat them eventually, but you actually don't really want to consume them. You just want to have them in your inventory, which sounds insane, right? But no, they're actually just that good. And honestly, my favorite play of the lane was right here, where things are not that good. Obviously, he's 1,000 gold behind the Terrorblade, 6 minutes into the game, so he actually takes somewhat of a double wave and brings it all the way to his tier 3. Statics it near his tier 3 in order to deny a wave from the Terrorblade, and then goes to base. I guess this is a very efficient way to go back to base. It's a little bit weird, but sure, at the end of the day, he gets his level 5, he's doing okay, he's close to the mana boots, gets a little bit of a heal up, and he can return to the lane. And this is the big thing I'd like to say. If you're going to try out this build and give it a shot, no matter how bad your lane is, don't rotate. Do not rotate, and we'll cover that more in a moment and why you really should not rotate. So the example I quickly want to show you is that his team is going to get gone on bottom. I'm sorry, they're going to go on bottom and then get counter-ganked bottom, and no hesitation, just TP's top. And this is the gameplay you're going to have to also implement if you want to try out this strategy, because it's a build that relies on very specific timings, right? You're not just playing Primal Beast and it's like, oh, once I get Phase Boots Wand, I'm like pretty strong to kill people. At this point in the game, you've bought mana boots, which don't help you fight particularly well, and a Ring of Health, which also doesn't really help you fight. You're playing to sit in the lane and farm that lane. So if you're going to copy this build, building into a Vanguard, then and mana boots, then you need to just play the farm game. You just have not infinite sustain, but a ton of sustain, a ton of mana regen or mana, and a ton of health. And that's the whole concept here. Keep in mind, he's also going to use his ultimate to farm, right? We just saw that he used it to kill the large camp and a creep wave. So you could tell, just farm, farm, farm. He's level 8, maxed out Q, 1 point in E, 2 points in static link from earlier in the lane, right? He went 4-4, right? His skill build was 2-2 into 4-2 into 4-2-1, right? In terms of the points. So now he gets his Vanguard, mid 12. Not terrible. Honestly, he had a bit of a comeback from his relatively bad laning start because of the fact that the mana boots and Ring of Health just really allow you to amplify your farm due to the fact that you don't have to go back to base and you don't have to buy clarities and tangos and salves. So it actually really helps out your net worth in the long run. And we can see that here. He gets really lucky on the Arcane Ring. I will admit, this Arcane Ring is so huge. It's so huge as he's going to return to top. Now you might be thinking, why Vanguard on Razor? That's the big question here. Why Vanguard on Razor? Because it's only 32 damage block, right? It's not incredible. 32 damage block, it's not nothing, but 60% of the time blocking 32 damage, is that really worth it? The answer is not really. As a standalone item, it makes no sense. It's actually bad. It's just bad. Like, there's no other way to put it. However, why he buys it is to disassemble it. It's to disassemble it. He's going to turn this Vanguard, because you can disassemble Vanguard into its two components, Vitality Booster and Ring of Health. You can disassemble it into Bloodstone, which is his first major item, which also is built from Mana Boots. You see where this build kind of comes together, right? And then the Ring of Health is built into a pipe later on. So everything's going to be used here, right? All the scraps are going to be used together to put together a very, very fast Bloodstone timing, considering how bad his lane actually was. So he'll return to top, clear it up. He's got his Vanguard. Also, you know, you are harder to gank. You have a lot of HP relative to what maybe you otherwise would. Often Razor builds don't make you necessarily this tanky, unless you're going like Falcon Blade and an Ogre Axe from BKB, which sometimes is the case. But either way, he's going to be going into his Bloodstone. Unless your game is really bad or mediocre, often he'll go for the Shard first. And this is what the build actually revolves around. Razor Shard. Honestly, I haven't really looked fully into this ability, but Storm Surge, which is his Shard, it upgrades your passive. Basically what it does is when you get auto-attacked, you have an 18% chance to fire out lasers around you, right? These like shocks. It's like Zeus Arc Lightning. You hit 3 targets, damaging nearby enemies, for 175 damage, which is a lot. And keep in mind, as far as I'm concerned, this ability doesn't have a cooldown. So if the enemy auto-attacks you a bunch, it's going to proc a bunch. But the big thing here is it procs every single time you are targeted with a spell. Every single time you are targeted with a spell, it will proc. On top of that, it slows for 50% for 1.5 seconds, which is pretty good. And keep in mind, this works when you're farming. So if a creep camp is auto-attacking you, you basically have a strong counter helix to flash farm camps very quickly. So Razor goes from a hero that doesn't do that much damage, doesn't make great use of his survivability, a little bit, but not great use, to a hero that can farm neutrals very efficiently, does a ton of damage, and is a big threat. So we'll see in this mid play here the first example of it. It's honestly shocking how good this Shard is. I didn't realize until I, started watching his replays now, how good this Shard actually is. And I'm not even just saying that for the sake of a video. It's genuinely good. It's genuinely good. Look at this play here. So Pango has no targeted ability, so that's not going to proc, right? I will say that he does proc here. I don't know if Diffusal procs it. I honestly don't know what procced it there, but it procced. So he gets nuked. Maybe it was the Skywrath about to cast spells. Maybe it's the Skywrath. Because then Skywrath's going to walk in here. Silence, proc, shock, shock, shock. Look at this Skywrath's health. This is before the plasma. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That is the plasma field. I was pranked you guys. No, it's not that good. So the plasma field hits this Skywrath. This Skywrath, look at this. This is insane. He walks into this fight with 1,245 health. He's very tanky. This is a very tanky Skywrath. A lot of HP compared to usual. Casts a couple of target abilities on Razor, and look at their HP. I mean, this is no joke. It's insane. It's genuinely insane. Look at their HP. Like, I watched this clip the first time, and I was watching, I usually watch the replays fast before I make a video on them. I was watching it fast. I'm like, what in the world? When did Razor Static Link do this much damage? I'm like, no, that has nothing to do with the Static Link. Most of the damage was not Static Link or Eye of the Storm. Most of it was the Shard, because Skywrath targeted him with multiple abilities. And yeah, I don't know, it's just insane. And look, when you're farming these camps, you'll hear it proc a little bit, and it will just proc. And so you can, like, usually if Eye of the Storm is down, it's brutally slow to kill camps as Razor. Your Q is okay, but it will never really clear the camp. Not in some very efficient way, but your Shard changes that completely. It's insane. I mean, this Shard is the most value 400, 1400 gold in the game. And I'm not just saying, like, I honestly think you could rate it as one of the top Shards, which is insane. It's particularly insane to me because I didn't even know. I've been told that it's good. I've had a couple people say to me it's good. I never looked into it though. I'm like, people aren't really doing it, right? Well, maybe they should be, especially even if you're playing Razor as any type of core. He's obviously building around it, but I think, and I was told by D-Dog, a friend of mine, that even Chrysalis would buy it at TI. So, which is pretty cool. Very, very cool. And yeah, let's get into the next clip as he's going to start working on his Bloodstone, and we'll see why that plays out. So finally, after a little bit more farming and continuing to use his ult practically off cooldown to farm, he will farm a 19-minute Bloodstone, which is one of the worst Bloodstones he had. So I actually picked one of his more difficult games because I wanted to show you that this build is good, regardless of the fact that he was 0-5. 0-5, guys. He was 0-5. So either way, fight's going to break out, and you can immediately see the shards start to come into play. And you can imagine why the Bloodstone's good. If you don't understand Bloodstone, you don't know what the item does. It gives you 500 health, 500 mana, 30% spell lifesteal. That spell lifesteal works on your Eye of the Storm, your Plasma Field, and most importantly, the Shard. Right? So it works on all of that. Then when you do damage with your abilities, it gives you your mana back. Razor has some very severe mana problems. This hero, when it's trying to farm, Plasma Field is very expensive and it's a low cooldown. Eye of the Storm costs a lot, but it's mostly just a Plasma Field. Typically, the hero has to spam Clarities, has to buy raindrops, and even a Falcon Blade to sustain his Q spam. With this build, not a problem. So we're going to see him go in mid here, right? They're going to cast some abilities, and look at that, right? Look at this Pango's HP. It's just hilarious. I mean, the shards do a little bit of damage to him too, to be fair, but he gets jumped. All right. Obviously, really nice grade from the Dazzle here. This fight is somewhat carried by the Dazzle in some regard, but he's very tanky, right? The only reason why he's able to even remotely live through that is because he's an 1800 health hero, right? That's spell life stealing. And by the way, when you activate the Bloodstone, that spell life steal goes from 30% to 75%. Pretty good, right? So very, very strong. And so yeah, he can kind of just survive that go, bait the enemy team in, and his team's able to clean up. And that was a game-turning fight. Just the fact that he was able to live. And yes, I will admit, the grave was fantastic, right? But still, the fact that he didn't instantly die to the Skywrath ulti, that's because of the build. That's because of the Bloodstone healing him up and giving him just a ton of HP. And you'll see as well, now as the fight ends, another problem Razor has is actually HP sustain. The hero has wild sustain issues. He really does. There's no way around it because you typically don't buy lifesteal on this hero. So like after fights, it can be very inconvenient to heal if you have a Falcon Blade BKB. But with Bloodstone and a Ring of Health, well, that's not a problem. You have a lot of HP regen, and then you'll see he's going to pop the Bloodstone in a moment as the wave comes up. And his mana also goes back to full, right? Look at that HP. Crazy amounts of HP, like 400 health or something. Right? It's like 400 health and all of his mana back. It's just so valuable. It's just so, right? It's really nice to allow you to stay on the map and continue to farm and not have to ship out salves and clarities like Razor actually typically would. One more weird but fascinating thing that 33 does is he actually buys a second Wraith Band 21 minutes into the game. And I actually believe he does this because he wants it to double at level 25 or minute 25. And then just get armor from that. His armor this game, his 8 armor, is going to come from 2 Wraith Bands, which is so legit. And the reason why it's legit is, yes, it has slot problems, but he's going to be buying Pite, so that doesn't cost us a lot. Then he's going to buy bots, so that doesn't cost us a lot. And you're chilling, right? You can keep these Wraith Bands for a long time, even after minute 25, because you're buying those other items. So it's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool in that regard. And it's 8 armor for about 1,000 gold at minute 25. Very valuable, right? Really nice. Considering it also gives you what? 24 attack speed? That's super solid. You're still draining people's damage. It's really solid. And yeah, just good. Even out 22 minutes into the game, he's going to consistently pop his ulti. Not off cooldown, but he'll pop his ulti to farm it up. Looks like his team slows down the game a bit, but he'll pop the Bloodstone, get some of his mana back, split up the map a bit. Looking to farm up his pipe here as he even TP's bottom to get some extra farm. Pretty crazy. 33 is one of the greediest players I've watched in a long time. This guy knows how to take space. Like when he's given space, he maximizes that space. He shreds the jungle in the waves. He just goes from camp to camp to camp in a lot of scenarios. And it causes him to be very farm. For instance, here we'll see a fight break out. Tries to save his bounty with the pipe, unfortunately doesn't go through. He's trying to bait a little bit, you can tell. Because, you know, when you have Pipe, Pipe gives you 30% magic resist, which puts you up to 50... Oh, is it 55 flat? What? Really? It gives you 30% flat? Does it give you the passive? Oh, you get the passive from Pipe. Because 30% magic resist shouldn't put you up to 55, because it's not additive, but I guess the 45% that it gives you total, Pipe gives you 45% magic resist? I think that's right, actually. I actually don't know for sure, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. That's one thing I'm not 100% certain on, but that's pretty insane because it shouldn't put him up to 55% if it's just 30%. That's not how Dota works. But yeah, he's up to 55% magic resist, which is insane. It's half damage from spells, more. And so he can really frontline at this point in the game. And he's very tanky. Cool thing about Racer too, he takes Plasma Field at level 10 and then 14 Strength at level 15. Right? It's pretty awesome, right? You just get 280 health at level 15, which is very legit when you're going a build that revolves around soaking damage. As we'll see him TPN bottom here. Gonna get poked a little bit, but he's gonna go in with the Bloodstone. And it's very impressive, right? He goes in and he's gonna be able to actually survive this go. Links up the TB, gets healed up a bit by the Dazzle. The Spell Life still comes into play just a tad. You can see the Bloodstone just consistently healing him up pretty casually, nothing insane. I'm not gonna say like, it's so broken. Oh my god, the passive Bloodstone heal is so OP. I mean, that's not necessarily the best part, but either way, they get a nice fight. And that's mainly because he can kind of soak the initiation. He can soak the attention. This meta comes out, they don't die to the meta. The Skywrath goes disturbingly out of position, so he's gonna die. And then yeah, you can just kind of soak the TB's damage, be a nuisance, and just play around actually denying the enemy team's damage. You don't even have to use it. You just take it away from a hero like Terrorblade in the team fights, and that's really valuable. One thing to keep in mind is that 33 even takes Storm Surge movement speed at level 20, putting him up to haste movement speed permanently with Elven Tunic and Boots of Travel. Now, obviously, you're not always going to have Elven Tunic, but if you can, pretty crazy. The evasion's great this game, too. He's prioritizing actually building up some physical resistance here, so he got rid of his Windlace. But not like he needs it. He's up to haste movement speed, so definitely didn't need the Windlace, but he gets a plate mail, has some evasion here now, has the armor from the Wraith Band, and now he's, developing some physical resistance, right? So he's going to build up his physical resistance, and all of a sudden this Terrorblade, who's his main threat, is no longer much of a problem as well. The Shivas is fantastic, of course, against the illusion carries too, so it's just a great game for the Shivas. Now, of course, there's different items you could buy. I'm not going to tell you guys, oh, you should go Shivas every game. If I pull up his Dota 2 Pro Tracker briefly as well, we will actually see that he went for a few different item builds. Like this game, he bought Ags. This game, he bought Eternal Shroud. Very early, he bought Eternal Shroud. We see quite a bit of Pipe into Ags. So actually quite a bit of Ags, a decent amount of Eternal Shroud. So really doubling down on Spell Lifesteal. I guess he must really think that this is the way to go with the Shard. It's just that good. And to be fair, these two items together is like infinite mana. I do feel like Pipe is probably better most games in my opinion, but I guess he sort of disagrees. He did one more Pipe than Eternal Shroud, but yeah, he even went for Heart Kaya Sanj in the game we are actually currently watching, which we'll see play out. All right, so now we're going to see this insane fight, and I'm actually going to end the video around here because we've covered a lot of material. So thank you guys for watching, but yeah, we're going to watch this fight here and really show you how crazy this build can get. So he's going to pick up his Heart, and I can really see why he bought the Sanj and Kaya, because the Sanj and Kaya amps all your spells, right? The Kaya, 16% spell amp, very, very good with this build. And then Sanj amps your HP regen, which is really, really good. Because when you buy Heart, you really want a Sanj. If you buy Heart and don't have a Sanj, generally I think it's a mistake. The Sanj gives you a lot of survivability with Heart, and then the Kaya also amps Spell Lifesteal. That's part of Kaya. It makes Spell Lifesteal stronger. So the Kaya Sanj, if you're going to go a build like this as your last item, makes a ton of sense, and I love that he picks it up as his last item, and I would keep that in mind. But either way, as we're going to see here, fight breaks out, and he's going to look the front line, right? He's not going to go too crazy to the point where he's, I'm just going to YOLO in. I will admit, I don't really know why he linked the Pingo there. I think that was a mistake, frankly, because you're definitely better off linking Terrorblade. For instance, linking Terrorblade right here would be great. Look at this Terrorblade. I mean, the damage Terrorblade's doing here is pathetic. There's no other way to put it. It's sad, right? And it's sad. And the problem with this build and why, like, honestly, it's better than even might seem, is like when this guy nukes twice, which he does, he nukes twice. Look at the damage on all three heroes. 131, 131, 131 times 2 on all of the heroes. Instantly, 1,000 damage. That's really bad math. Okay, that was actually really horrible math. You get the point, right? Whether or not it's 750, 800, or 1,000 damage, it doesn't matter. The point is that you're just bursting them in an AoE out of nowhere. And people don't understand the shard. So this Skywrath is going to keep nuking him, keep proccing it, as he's going to get gone on. Unfortunately, not a great fight from his team. I guess they got kited pretty hard. But either way, they're doing okay. He's going to heal, not back up to full, but he's going to heal pretty quickly with the heart with 70 HP regen. 69 HP regen, actually. And then, yeah, they're going to go back in. Ursa hops in, and he's going to be able to frontline once again, right? As we're going to see him link the Tower Blade this time. He's going to get forced out, unfortunately. Link the Tower Blade. And as the fight continues on, he can continue to run at them, right? And it's like, it's actually a 4v5 here, but he doesn't really care. He's sort of waiting for his Eye of the Storm to come back up, but Tower Blade blinks on him, and look how sad this is. And now when you're running in like this, everyone's going to panic cast spells on you, right? And the AoE damage from the shard is insane. Also, every time Tower Blade hits him, is an 18% chance to proc. Yules even procs it? Why did targeted items proc it? I just saw that. What? So the Diffusal from Pango definitely did proc it earlier. Because Yules procced it, and then the Sky Cube procced it, and then he's just killing them all with AoE damage, and he's healing from all of it. And the Skywrath, you can see he's chatting because he's like, what is wrong with this Razor? I've never encountered a Razor who heals when I nuke him. Look at him chase. He might keep going. I mean, he's haste movement speed. He maybe could have dove there. I think it would have been bad, but I mean, that's just hilarious. He's getting tipped by his Ursa because people are like, what is this? This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen in Dota in a minute. It's just a tank Razor. I mean, I haven't seen that in forever. And now also he gets the creates a second plasma field delayed by 0.8 seconds. Now you get this like double nuke, which is so powerful with this build. It lets you kill creep waves very quickly. It lets you obviously heal, do a lot of damage, etc., etc. I mean, it's the perfect talent for a build like this, and you just get that at level 25. So of course you scale well as well, right? There's no way around it. Your hero scales. You can eventually pick up an Axe too, as he's now going to finish up that Kaya Sanj, which is just fantastic for the reasons I mentioned. And yeah, that's going to be the end of today's video. They do end up going on to win this game, believe it or not, even though the game was quite difficult for him early on. He just turns it around, and yeah, look at this, 124 regen with the Sanj and Kaya. And people don't get that, right? Because before Sanj and Kaya, he's at 94, right? With Sanj and Kaya, it gets another 30. It's a 30% increase, right? Is that right? No, 25? Sorry. It's exactly what the spell actually says. 22%. You get the point. It's such an increase in the spell lifesteal and the HP regen from Kaya and Sanj, and it's just really, this build's awesome. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try it in my upcoming pubs. It looks fun. It looks powerful, and that's always the best. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.